Wonderful. So I'm going to take you all through just a basic description of what somatics is, so you know exactly what you're up to today. Of course, I think everybody would agree with me that the more you understand what you're doing, the more of a result you're going to get. I have Ari saying tight spine and jaw from a car accident. Okay, good to know. Oh, maybe I was thinking about throwing some jaw stuff in at the end if we had some time. So we'll see how that flies. Oh, and I got a big thumbs up from Valerie on that one too. And then Ayana, you know me, left leg injury club. We got a lot of left-siders today. I'm gonna write that down because that'll make a difference in which side I choose to do first. Got a lot of left injuries here today. Interesting, huh? All right. So what is somatics? Somatics is a movement modality who, like basically the main goal is to re-educate your movement at the level of your nervous system. So why is that important? Well, over the span of a lifetime, life will life you. Like life happens, right? And so through that time, we get injuries, traumas, recovery from injury. A lot of the time can be even a bigger culprit than the injury itself. Think about times that maybe you've been casted and you've had to like hold still in a part of your body. The rest of your body has to compensate for those things. Also, if any of you, work in front of computers, I know there aren't many of us, but if any of you work in front of computers, what happens is a lot of the times your body starts to memorize certain postures just so that there's less energy that has to go into being in that posture. So there are all kinds of reasons why our body creates neural pathways that it then memorizes into our body, and then that's just the way we move. All of this happens under the level of our consciousness. So it's in our subconscious. So what ends up happening is the brain will frequently forget what our true, free, full extension of a muscle is. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I feel tight, I'm gonna stretch that muscle out. And, sometimes that can give, a short-term relief where we're pulling the insertion of a muscle away from the origin of a muscle and, it lengthens the muscle a little bit. But what ends up happening is that neural pathway that has memorized that muscle is not this long, but in fact this long, just brings your skeletal system back into the same position as it was before. So if you guys have, I love a chiropractor. I have two of them. And a lot of times what you'll experience with something like a chiropractor, a massage therapist, is you'll get the relief. Maybe it lasts a day, maybe it lasts a week and it's really great, but eventually your body starts to gravitate back to what your body knows, right? And that's just the way it works. And, there's no reason to curse your body for this. This is all for you, right? It's all actually for your life, to make your life easier. It's just that sometimes those postures just don't serve us anymore. And so what somatics is, is basically an opportunity to choose, right? Do I need this posture anymore, or can I let it go? And once we're able to notice certain things or certain habits in our body, we start to be able to let them go throughout the day. And that's where the real juice is just to be able to let go of certain tensions and postures that are no longer serving us. So the movements we do in somatics are based in stress reflexes. I'm sure most of you know what the stress reflexes are, even if you're saying, what is a stress reflex right now? What if I said fight, flight, freeze? So, most of us know, like now get an idea of what that is, right? So the most basic ones, and you'll feel them in a lot of our activity and action today, is the red light reflex, which is our freeze reflex. And that looks like this, right? So your chin is up, your shoulders are forward. And if you want to feel that posture in your body, you can feel free to do that. You know, it probably feels like what you feel like on your computer, maybe what it feels like if in a cold Chicago winter, right? All of this is the red light reflex, where we're protecting the organs, compressing the rib cage, lengthening the spine and shortening the back of the neck, lengthening the front of the neck. The other postures, the green light reflex, our fight and our flight, right? So it's like a soldier standing at attention, chin down, lengthen back of neck, shoulder blades together, spine pushing forward, okay? And that's our, that, you know, these are our heavy laborers, people that are, you know, using their back a lot, people that power through things, right? Go get them. You know, and we all have all of these postures in us. It's just some of us represent a little bit more of one than the other. Then we have our trauma reflex, which is what we're going to be getting into today. Trauma reflex is, right? If anybody ever, like, if you stand on one leg heavier than the other, if you notice that like one shoulder is shorter than, or is like sits lower, if you've ever been told that one of your legs is longer than the other leg, that's trauma reflex, right? So we're going to be working a lot in this one today, but we're actually going to run through all of them at some point or another. So inside of those reflexes, the movement we do is called a pandiculation. It's a fun word. Pandiculation is 3 steps. It is a very gentle contraction into a muscle. So if you're already dealing like with Matt and Heather, if you're already dealing with some muscle spasming, I invite you to just make these movements nice and small. So somatics, unlike exercise, is like a lot of times the smaller the better, right? Unlike, you know, exercise is like go hard, go home kind of a thing. You know, don't worry about that. Take it nice and easy, okay? So contraction into a muscle, it's a smooth, slow release. And the slower you go on the release, the better the more communication you'll be able to create between your neocortex and your brains. And your muscles, rather. Your neocortex is your brain. So your neocortex and your muscle, which is what we're trying to connect. Take it from the limbic, bring it into the frontal lobe there. And then the last one is a full deep breath, a very relaxing breath. One thing you may notice as you go through this is that you get very, very relaxed. One of the other purposes of the somatics practice is bringing you out of that fight, flight, freeze response and into a rest and digest response. So you may feel after this like you could take a nap or like you're just kind of floaty. And I hope you guys enjoy that sense of yourselves. Okay. And you know, we want to, and then between each one of the movements, we'll take a moment for integration because the body is much faster than the brain. It's about 250 times faster than the brain, which is why we're able to react to like fire or heat. If we had to wait for our brain to like tell us to pull our hand away, we'd be in real trouble, right? And so the integration piece is super important. It's almost like just having a conversation with yourself where you say, oh, do you notice that new possibility? And when you can notice the new possibility, there's an opportunity to actually change things when you're out in life. Okay? Okay. Now, before we dive in, are there any questions? And it's a very slow moving modality. So if you're nervous and you don't know like that you're going to do it right, you'll do it right. You'll be great. And Denise is in the right side club. Ha ha ha. Nice. Okay. And then Simone says jaw work would be awesome, please. Okay. Good to know. Okay, let's go ahead. Find a spot on your floor and lie down. You know, if you can have your camera on your body, that's great. If not, no worries. Always feel free to come into your gallery view and look at other people's bodies if you're a little confused on some of the movement that I'm cueing. I'm going to be cueing the movement, not demoing it. So I'm not going to show you what to do and then you do it. You're going to listen to what I'm asking you to do, and you're going to translate it through your own body. If I see that you're doing something that is not exactly what I'm looking for, I'll let you know. No worries. I am happy to do that for you. So come on down to your back. If you're comfortable with having your legs straight, straighten your legs. If you are not, please bend your legs. Have your feet on the floor. And if you're in a bent knee position for what's called the Soma scan, if you're in a bent knee position for the Soma scan here, I want you to walk your feet as far away from your booty as you can and still have comfort. Okay? So lying here on the floor with your legs straight, the Soma scan is our opportunity to take an inventory of what is so in the body. Go ahead and close your eyes and get a sense of how your body feels against the floor here, where it touches, where it doesn't touch. And when I said inventory, like literally, like, what do your shoulder blades feel compared one to the other? Do they feel even, like symmetry? Or is there asymmetry there? How about your butt cheeks? Check those bad boys out. Does one feel heavier than the other? Or is there symmetry? Check in, feel how your arms lie against the floor. Where do they touch and where do they not touch, and are they the same? And how about with how your legs lie on the floor? Get a sense of your facial muscles. Are you holding tension in your face right now? Maybe in your jaw or, between your eyes. They call the third eye. And what's the positioning of your head? Shorten back of neck, lengthen back of neck, tilting, turned. Now take a deep breath and compare that deep, intentional breath to what your breath was before you took that deep breath. Where does that deep breath go in your body? Does it fill your belly or does it fill your chest? Or maybe it doesn't fill anything. And then get a sense of your overall being, emotions, thoughts, sensations. And then bend your knees, placing your feet flat on the floor. I want you to bring your feet in a position where your low back feels like it's in a neutral position. Like no side of your body is more flexed or more extended than the other. Just feels neutral to you. It's all about how you feel. Inward out is what we're working from. The first movement we're going to do today is called the flatten to release. And that works on the red light reflex. So, and then Simone, go ahead and bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor there. There you go, beautiful. And we're gonna be working in the red light reflex. So that was that sort of computer, that cold reflex. And what I want you to do now is on an exhale, I want you to very gently press your spine down into the floor like you're trying to flatten it into the floor, pulling your belly button down into your spine. And maybe you feel your shoulders kind of travel gently toward the ceiling, flexing the front of your body, pressing your back into the floor. And then slowly and smoothly release out of that contraction. Smoothing out any jumpy, jerky, shaky movement along the way. And then once you get back to neutral, just take a really deep breath. And when you're ready, on an exhale, do that again. Exhale, sink the belly button, sink the sternum into the floor, sink the rib cage, gently pull the shoulders forward toward the ceiling, and maybe tilt your chin up toward the ceiling, keeping your head on the floor, but the chin kind of comes up. Rounding the back, flexing the front of the body, and then slowly and smoothly release. Any of that jumpy, jerky, shaky sensation you might be getting on the release is called sensory motor amnesia. And that is your opportunity when you smooth out that jumpy, jerky, shaky to the best of your ability. That's your opportunity to connect your brain to your muscles. Take a deep breath once you get to neutral. And then go ahead and do that again. On an exhale, sink the belly button, sink the rib cage, sink the sternum, shrug the shoulders gently toward the ceiling. You'll feel your shoulder blades separate from each other in the back, and your chin will tilt up toward the ceiling. Maybe you feel your butt cheek squeeze a little to bring your pelvis toward your breastbone. And now, as slowly as you can, start to release, smoothing out any jumpy, jerky, shaky you feel along the way, until you get back to neutral. And then take a deep breath. And then go ahead and let's do one more of those. On an exhale, sinking rib cage, sternum, belly button, bringing that pubic bone toward the breastbone. There you go, Ernest. Yep, there, you got it, dude. Nice. And now, as slowly as you can, smoothly release that tension all the way back to totally relaxed and neutral. Once you get back to neutral, go ahead and straighten the legs for an opportunity to notice, sense, and feel. And just take another inventory. How does your body feel now? Get a sense of where your body touches the floor, where it leaves the floor. A sense of your overall being. After doing a little bit of releasing of the front of the body here. And notice if there's any tension being held anywhere. Sometimes you have the ability to release it. Sometimes that ability is not present. Then if you're anything like me, if there's any like wiggling or readjusting you have to do, definitely do that. Heather's having a good time with her dogs there. Hilarious. Good. And then let's take a deep breath and see how that feels. Sinking into the floor. And then bend your knees and place your feet flat on the floor. We're going to go into the green light reflex next with something called the arch to release. And it sounds like exactly what it is. We're going to do just the opposite of what we were doing, where we're going to gently be contracting the spine and releasing it. Here's how I like to go into the arch and release. Start to breathe in deeply into your belly, such that you feel your belly expand really big. And when you're expanding your belly really big like that, I want you to see if you can feel sort of a contraction in your low back. See if you can sense that little muscle called the multifidus. Another fun name. The muscles have a lot of fun names. And we're going to follow that inhalation with a gentle arching of the belt line away from the floor. So on an inhale, find that natural arching that occurs when you expand the front of your body, and then just follow it by sort of spilling your pubic bone between your legs, pressing your tailbone down, into the floor, and you feel your belt line arch away from the floor. Maybe your chin tilts down towards your chest. And then as slowly as you can, smoothly release that contraction all the way back to resting. And then take a deep breath. And this one, if you're on a yoga mat, a lot of times you do have to wiggle into resting because yoga mats are a little grippy. And that's okay. That's okay. Do what you got to do. Answer to what your body asks for. And then when you're ready again on an inhale, follow that belly, arch the spine gently away from the floor. Chin starts to tilt down. Maybe you notice your shoulder blades gently coming back toward each other. And then as slowly as you can, smooth out all the jumpy, jerky, shaky. All the way back till you feel no more tension from that contraction. And then take a deep breath at the end. And then when you're ready, let's do that again. Inhale, arch the belt line away. Feel the shoulder blades gently. If you don't feel them pull toward each other, maybe they just push into the floor gently. Your chin rocks down to your chest. You're lengthening the back of your neck. And then slowly and smoothly release that tension of the spine all the way back, smoothing out all the jumpy, jerky, shaky along the way, reconnecting where there's a loss of control back to neutral. Take a deep breath here, and we're going to do a couple more moves before we get into our Soma scan. But before we get into these variations of the arch, as we slowly start to move into a little bit more of the trauma reflex, I want you to look around and see if there's anything holding tension that you could possibly release right now. While we lie here with our knees bent and feet flat on the floor. And then just go ahead and see if you can let it go. Or if you can't, just notice it. Be with it. As I was working on this combo last night, I noticed my whole left side almost felt like there was just something living in it. You know, like there was just a buzzing and a swarming. So, you know, notice for yourself, and I couldn't release it. So just notice for yourself what's there. I want you to get a sense as you're lying here, if there's a side of your body, or maybe you noticed in your soma scan, that lies a little flatter on the floor than the other side. And take note of which side that is, because that's the side I want you to start with on this next move. If you don't get that sense, or you didn't get that sense on your soma scan, just pick a side. Let your nervous system pick. All right. So here's what I want you to do. I would say listen carefully before starting the move, just so you have a bit of an idea of what this is going to be like. But we're going to go into the arch, just like how we were doing, except I want you to pick that flatter side, and I want you to gently spill over to that hip instead of going straight down the middle. All right? So we're going to be working on the diagonal of the body in the back instead of straight down the spine. And then we'll float out of that. Okay? So let's go ahead and see what that's like for you. On an inhale and gently arch the back and start to spill over to one of those hips, gently pressing that butt cheek down. And you're going to keep your feet flat on the floor, just in that same position. You're just going to gently press into one side. You might notice your opposite shoulder wants to press into the floor as well. So if you're spilling into your right hip, your left shoulder might press back a little. And then slowly and smoothly release on out of that. And then take a deep breath once you get back to neutral. And then when you're ready, let's do that again. On an inhale, same side, gently start to arch the back and spill on over to one hip. And Ava, I would say continue to ground your feet on the floor instead of allowing your legs to topple. Yeah, just so that there's a control there. And just press gently down. It doesn't have to be big. And then slowly and smoothly release. Yeah, keep those feet grounded. All the way back to neutral. Once you find a relaxed space, take a deep breath. And then let's do that side one more time. Inhale, start to arch, gently spill over to one side, just pressing that butt cheek a little into the floor. Notice the opposite shoulder gently pressing back into the floor as well. And there's a diagonal expansion of the front of the body and a diagonal tension in the back. And then slowly and smoothly release back to neutral. One of the things I really noticed last night when I was doing this move was my hip flexors got really involved in the contraction. So if that's happening for you, notice that too, and notice the release of the hip flexor as you come out of that. If that's not happening for you, that's okay too. Take a deep breath here. Let's take a moment just to see if there's anything holding tension that could be released. If there's any wiggling you need to do to get back into what feels comfortable, do that. Yeah, sometimes I just have to, flop my legs around a little. Yeah, good. And then Let's move into the other side. Now I'm going to warn you, it's going to feel totally different. Okay? So no expectations. On an inhale, when you're ready, inhale, gently start to arch, and then go ahead and rock to your other side, the side that we left alone on the last one. Making a gentle arch in the back on the diagonal. If you're having a hard time connecting, what if your opposite shoulder gently pressed back? And then slowly and smoothly start to release. Sometimes when there's a loss of connection or there's an inability maybe to get a move, we want to find the other patterns and play with those a little bit. And then we're like, oh, the brain will be like, oh my goodness, that is a possibility. Take a deep breath and let's do that again on an inhale. Inhale, gently start to arch, rock over to the less flat side, that second side. Feel the opposing shoulder gently pull toward the floor. Feel that expansion on the diagonal in the front. The arch on the diagonal in the back. And then slowly and smoothly release. And then take a deep breath. Yeah, and if you notice any wiggling or tremoring, just let that happen. Let it flow through your body. And then let's go ahead and do that one more time on an inhale. Inhale, arch, and spill over to one side. Feel that opposite shoulder. If your head wants to do something here, let your head go. And then slowly and smoothly come on out of that diagonal arch. Our hip calibration of the back. We will be doing a hip calibration of the front so that we have full access to our hips when we get into the side of the body. And before we straighten the legs, let's do one more big inhale and spill right down the middle to end on a bilateral move here. Inhale, gently arch the spine, the belt line away from the floor. Chin will rock down to the chest, lengthening the back of the neck. And then slowly and smoothly float on out. Noticing any other tension being held. Noticing your breath. And then once you come to neutral, straighten your legs, or if you did your Soma scan with bent knees, just see how far away you can get your feet from your tuchus. And take a few breaths here as you sense, feel, and notice how things have shifted through the body here. Noticing and sensing your overall being. Has that shifted? Your being, your thought processes, your emotions, those are all built into your posture. So see if there's a relationship. Feeling how your body touches the floor, how it doesn't. Get a sense of any tension that's being held right now that you maybe could release or just wants to chill out. And then take a really deep breath and notice how that feels. Very nice. Very nice, everybody. Okay. I don't want this to be too abrupt. Gently flip on over to your tummy. I want you to stack your hands and rest your forehead on your hands so that your nose has some space to hang out and the back of your neck is nice and lengthened. We're going to hang out on our belly for a little while for another hip calibration. This is, you guys, I am so sorry. I say that this is my favorite over and over again. It's because they just all feel really nice. So if you hear me say that like 4 or 5 times today, just let it slide. And I want you to feel in the front of your body now against the floor how this feels. What does this do to your low back, right? And then I want you to also get a sense of which side of your body feels flatter against the floor. So is there a flatter side, a more hitched up side? So whichever side feels flatter, that's the side we're going to start with. Pardon me. That's the side we're going to start working with. And what you'll find is, I'm saying that's the side we're going to start working with, but the other side is actually going to be moving too. Because as one side lengthens, the other side shortens. And in our hips, as one leg reaches forward, the other leg reaches back. So going into that flatter side, and again, if you don't sense the flatter side, that's okay. Just pick a side, any side. It'll work. And I want you to take that flatter side and I want you to gently press it a little further into the floor. Just pressing that hip down into the floor. And you'll notice a rocking of the hips and maybe a little hitch or a little pike of the other hip. And then slowly and smoothly release out. All the way back to neutral. Good. And then when you're ready, go ahead and do it again. Pressing that flatter side down into the floor. You'll notice a gentle pike of your other hip as you do that. Little hitch. And then slowly release out. Good. And then go ahead and just do that again. Pressing that same side down. It's almost like you're on the other side, your knee is like gently trying to drag up the floor. You don't need to make that happen, but if you're not sensing that, see if you can. And then let's do one more of those. And the super slow release. Good. I see some of you, this really gives you the wiggles, huh? Let it out. Let it wiggle. All right. Take a deep breath. See if there's anything that you could release and relax right now. And then let's go over to the other side. Go ahead. And again, this is going to feel really different. So the less flat side, go ahead and press that bad boy down gently into the floor. You'll notice the other hip move. And then give it a super smooth and slow release. Back to neutral. Take a deep breath. And then we'll do that again. Pressing that side down. And if I'm going faster than your pandiculations, don't worry about it. Don't let my cueing speed you up. Pressing that one side down, feeling the gentle hitch of the other side. And then smoothly and slowly releasing out. Back to neutral, taking a deep breath. And then do it again. Taking as many breaths as you need to in this. If you're curious, do I do this on the exhale or do I do this on the inhale? Pick one you like better. Try both. Pressing the less flat side down, gently piking the other side up, and then smoothly and slowly releasing. And then take a deep breath here. Before we move on to our back, we're going to do a bilateral move because I like to finish one-sided moves with bilateral moves, but we're going to do it on our belly, and we're going to do the flatten to release on the belly, which basically is the rounding of the back, but we're going to be doing it face down. So the way that I usually feel this in my body, and just depending on the just the structure of your body, you might feel it a little bit differently, is I usually feel it like I'm pressing my quads into the floor and I'm pulling my belly into my low back, and my arms will gently press into the floor, and I'm rounding my back away from the floor to the best of my ability, and then slowly, smoothly releasing out of that. So see what that's like for you. Using the floor to round the back toward the ceiling. You're laying on your belly, and maybe it's your arms or maybe it's your chest, just depending on how your body is set up. Gently presses down your quads or your hips, depending on how your body is set up. Gently presses down, and your belly button pulls up to round your back. And then smoothly and slowly release out of the flatten to release. Take a deep breath when you get back to neutral. And then when you're ready on an exhale, go ahead and do that again. Gently pressing hips or quads or arms and chest into the floor to round the low back toward the ceiling. And then slowly, smoothly release back. Take a deep breath at the end. And it's easiest if you have your forehead on your hands. I suppose you could have your chin, but then we wouldn't be able to get to that length and neck at the end. So try that on. And then let's go ahead and do one more of those flatten to releases on an exhale. And I just say exhale for this one because it creates more spaciousness in the belly and can push that transverse and those abs up into the spine, and take as many breaths as you need to slowly and gently release. Rounding the back, contracting the abs, and releasing all the way back to neutral. And if you're going again, that's okay. Matt, let me see you do one more of those. Go ahead and, so instead of rising your booty up, Matt, I want you to think about pulling your belly button into the spine and sort of shrugging your shoulders forward and rounding the spine a little bit. And all of the, there you go. And the rest of you just keep going at your own pace, or rest if you want to. There you go, Matt. That's what I'm looking for. Very nice. And slowly sink out of that. And feel free, Matt, to do just a couple more of those. And everybody else, go ahead and finish the one that you're on. And slowly and gently make your way back onto your back again. With your legs straight, to notice, sense, and feel. Good, good, good. So when you're ready, turning to your back, straightening the legs. And if you did your Soma scan, your original Soma scan with bent knees, go ahead and walk your feet away from your butt and see how far away you can get from your butt with comfort now. Getting a sense of how your body feels against the floor. And Ernest, whenever you're ready, go ahead and flip on over. There you go. Just wanted to make sure that everybody's with us. Everybody can hear me. Get a sense of your overall being here. Yeah. Any tension being held in the body that maybe could be released? Facial tension. Comparing hips, one butt cheek to the other, one shoulder blade to the other. And any kind of wiggles you need to get out. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so next what we're going to be doing is we're going to be turning over to one side of your body or the other. So I'm actually going to do this a little differently than what I originally thought I was going to do. I want you to feel in your body, if it's still present for you, which side feels flatter against the floor. And I want you to have that be the side that faces up as you turn on over to your side. Now, if you have like some shoulder issues, or your shoulder's not going to be comfortable with your head lying on it, feel free to get a pillow too. Otherwise, I'm just going to have you lie on your arm like this with your elbow bent. And you'll have your knees up in front of you at 90-degree angles in the front of your hips and behind your knees. Turning on to the side like you're gonna go to sleep. And then take a moment to get comfortable, right? So whatever works for you. Again, if you need a pillow, definitely grab one. And I want you to look down at your body. Like if I was there as an instructor, I might shift the positioning of your body. I want you to make sure that your shoulders are stacked one on top of the other. You're not leaning forward or falling open. And your hips are stacked one on top of the other. So check yourself out. And then your knees are right up in front of you, because you're going to want to use those knees to leverage you in this first movement. So yeah, so Simone, bring your knees up a little bit further right in front of your hips there. Yeah, it's almost like you're in fetal, like right before fetal position. Yeah, there you go. Groovy, babies. And then Robin, whenever you're ready to join us, no hurry at all, onto the side of your body. Just picking which side feels flatter and having that be the side that faces up. All right, so we have an arm underneath of our head. I want you to take your other arm. Well, hold on, let me make sure. Oh, yes, that is correct. I want you to take your other arm and I want you to mirror it. So you have your arms kind of around your head like this. And what I'm gonna have you do is using your eyes, so this one your eyes are gonna be open on. Using your eyes, I want you to follow your elbow to point up at the ceiling. You're gonna follow with your head and your eyes. So you're gonna rotate open. So use that head and eyes and rotate to point that elbow at the ceiling. And then go ahead and slowly, gently bring it on back all the way to close up shop again. Totally resting back to neutral. Great. Good, and you'll have your hands sort of at the base of your skull. And then go ahead on an inhale. Let's try an inhale on this one, why not? Go ahead and inhale, rotate open. And if your elbow can go a little further than the ceiling, you can go further, but I don't want you to lose your shoulder. I don't want your shoulder and your rib cage to disconnect. So just go as far as your rib cage will take you, looking at your elbow with your eyes, and then go ahead and slowly bring it back, close up shop. Good. And then when you're ready, after you've relaxed and taken a breath, go ahead and do it again. Yeah. That happens to me every now and again, Ayana. Ayana shared, my hips are getting more crabby the more we try to release them. Sometimes that happens to me too. Let's see what the side body stuff does for you. Come on back, all the way back to neutral. Good, good, good. And then let's do one more, or just finish the one you're on, inhaling, or trying exhaling maybe. Opening up, following eyes and head with the elbow. Good, and head is gonna be resting on the other arm, making sure the neck is resting. Yeah, there you go. And then go ahead and just roll open. There you go. Making sure those eyes connect to the elbow the whole time. Your eyes are the very top of that spine. So, that's your range of motion. Where your eyes and your head can get to is where your range of motion is, and then you're gonna stop and you're gonna bring it on home. Awesome. Go ahead and come to resting in this position. Now, this next piece is going to be a little bit of a bigger piece, right? So only do what you're comfortable with. But I'm gonna have you take that arm that's underneath of you, and I'm just gonna have you shoot it straight out in front of you, and then you're gonna bring that other arm to mirror it. So you're gonna have your arms out in front of you now on your side body. And you're gonna take that top arm, you're gonna follow with your eyes and your head, and you're gonna rainbow it over, and you're gonna open up with a straight arm. Don't let your shoulder separate from your rib cage. Some of us have really flexible ball and socket joints there. Don't let them separate. And then slowly and smoothly bring it on back. Come all the way to resting. Matching the fingertips so that your shoulders go back to stacked. And then go ahead and once again, opening up. Only go as far as your head and eyes will take you and your rib cage. And then slowly and smoothly bring it on back. Good. Try it on either an exhale or an inhale, whichever you like. Opening up. Following eyes and head. Notice how the whole rest of your body reacts. And then let's bring it on back home, finishing the one you're on. Because now we're going to take it to the next step. Again, if this is too much for your shoulders or your back, just stick to the step that feels right for you. All right, so this one, we'll see how good I am at describing this one. So your arms are straight in front of you. You're on the side of your body. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your fingertips of that top arm on the floor as you rainbow up overhead and then open up to the side. So there'll be a little switch in your shoulder joint as you come through. So your fingertips will slide up overhead and you'll open up and then they'll go overhead and close. If that's too much for that shoulder joint, just stay where we were, where you bring that arm straight over like a rainbow. This is called the pectoral clock. So your hands are like a clock going around your head and then coming on back. And there will be a little rotation in the shoulder joint when you come up to the top. Your palm will flip open and it'll open up to the other side. Yeah, so it'll come up and over and flip and be open on the other side. Yeah, good. Bye, Ava. Yeah, I'll send them over to you. Good. And then Lisa, I'm curious for you what your range of motion is when you did, I want to see the one that you did right before it where you open up this way. Let me see that range of motion for you. Okay. Great. Perfect. Then you are exactly where you need to be. Awesome. Go ahead and finish the one you're on or do one more. Pectoral clock in the house. Nice job. Okay. Let's go ahead. Let's put that upper body for now in a position that's nice and comfortable. So however you want to lay on that arm, go ahead and lay on it. And then bring that other arm. We'll get back to the upper part. Go ahead and lay it on your hip here and have your knees right up in front of you, 90-degree angle behind the knees and in front of the hips. And we're going to work with the low body now, the waistline and the low body. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep your thighs together, and I want you to float your foot, your top foot, toward the ceiling. So your thighs are going to stay together, and your femur bone is going to kind of rotate up. Good. Yeah. Let me make sure everybody's got that basic move. Yep. And then as slowly as you can, with as much smoothness as you can. Good. Yep. Simone. Great. Slowly lower that foot all the way back. to resting. And on your next one, as you do this, I want you to see, sense, feel, and notice if you can feel your hip sort of hike up toward your armpit. See if you can feel your waistline shorten a little bit. And then feel that waistline gently extend and expand as it comes back down. Good. And for some of you, I want you to notice if when you're floating your foot back down, if it's landing directly on your other foot or not. And then see if you can land it directly on your other foot. Feeling that hip hike up as you roll. There you go. And just go as far as you can. And then slowly and smoothly lower it back down. Good, good, good. Do one more of those or finish the one you're on. Smoothly and slowly. Notice all the jumpy, jerky, shaky along the way. And Simone, you do an interesting flexion of the knee as you come up. So I'd say stop just short of doing the flexion of the knee. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Beautiful. Great. Okay, so now let's go back to the upper body. So you're lying on your arm, and you can either be here, or if you can straighten your arm underneath your head to straight up, that would be super great. If you have a pillow, great, just nuzzle with your pillow. And then I want you to bring that arm, we've just loosened up that whole shoulder. I want you to bring it to match that arm overhead. So now your arms are overhead. You feel your whole rib cage is expanded here. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to give your top rib cage a really big inhalation. And then on an exhale, I want you to bring that arm overhead, bring it right by your hip, and then reach and lift your head up off the ground, and you're gonna come up into a side bend. And then slowly and smoothly release that side bend. And Madeline, you don't need to lift that far up into the side bend. It's just a reach of the arm, compressing the rib cage, and then coming on back down. You'll feel the expansion of the rib cage underneath, but your whole body won't come off the floor. You'll just kind of reach and compress the top rib cage. Bring your head up, and then slowly and smoothly bring that arm back down. There you go. Remembering that smaller is usually better. So if you're feeling like you're over-efforting here, take it down a notch. Good. And remember to come all the way to resting and take a really deep breath. Good. And also watch how your arm travels over your hip. Make sure it's a straight line over the hip and not behind you or in front of you. See about that. Because then you'll know, oh, I'm in the green light reflex right now. Yeah, there you go, Matt. You got it. Perfect. And then go ahead, do one more, just finish the one you're on. And we're gonna combo that low body move and that upper body move. So, buckle up. When you're ready, go ahead. Take a big inhale into that top rib cage. Yummy, yummy, yummy. And then as you exhale, travel that arm overhead. Start to lift that top foot off the bottom foot. And you're going to take your waistline shorten from the bottom and from the top. And then as slowly as you can, there you go, Diana. Good, good. As slowly as you can, bring it all the way back to fully expanded. Good. And here's one of the things I like to point out. Make sure that your foot and your arm are in their own lane here. So if your foot and your hand are crossing paths, try to make them in their own lane. If they're touching or going toward each other. Yeah, there you go, Ayana. You got it. You got it. And again, if you feel like you're efforting a lot, just take it down a smidge. And keep going at your own slow pace. Good. And we're not trying to touch hand to heel. We're just reaching past the hip and lifting the foot. That is all we're doing. And then we're slowly bringing it down, down, down. Back to neutral, taking a full deep breath, and then doing it again. And go ahead and finish the one you're on. Come all the way to neutral and completely collapse into the floor. And then once you've done that, gently turn onto your back. Straighten the legs to notice, sense, and feel how the body feels now. You might feel a little lopsided. No worries, we'll take care of that. I won't leave you lopsided. Just getting a sense now, though, of what's going on after moving and pandiculating and focusing on one side. Now, we also know that when one side lengthens, the other side shortens and vice versa. So the other side was certainly working, whether you noticed it or not. Take a deep breath, see how that feels in the body. Ayana. OMG, Kira, zero smoothness. Yeah. I generally have a lot of jumpy, jerky, shaky with the foot movement. And then just a sense of your overall being now. What is it like to feel lopsided? This lopsided, maybe you always feel lopsided, right? Maybe this is just more of the same. And let's turn on over to the other side. Getting yourself set up for pectoral clock. So we have our elbow bent, mirrored with the other arm. Hands are cradling the base of the head. Bending the knees in front of the hips, 90-degree angles all around. And then when you're ready, what's great about doing one side and then the other is your brain already knows what we're gonna do, which is great. When you're ready, go ahead. Use your eyes and your head and follow that elbow. I should demo with the other side. Follow that elbow. You'll notice the two sides feel different. And then bring it all the way back to resting. See which one you like better on an inhale or on an exhale. Maybe inhale and open up, and then taking as many breaths as you need to bring it on back. It might feel like a nice stretch through the back. Just don't let your shoulder disconnect from your rib cage. We want the shoulder and the rib cage connected. See what it's like to take a big, deep breath at the top of that lengthening position to open and expand that rib cage even more. And then bringing it on back. Awesome. And then feel free to do one more. Just finish the one you're on. And I'm going to have you shoot your arms straight out in front of you. And now, of course, if this one was a little much for you, just keep the bent arm situation. But now, go ahead, using your eyes and your head. I'm going to go demo the other side. Follow that guy up and around the body. And then slowly and smoothly bring it back. Good. I see some of you are already on the pet clock, and that is totally fine. Keep playing in that. And this is just the stepping stone to the pet clock. And then whenever you're ready, if you're ready for the full pet clock, which is when your hands actually start to look like hands on a clock, you can bring it up and over and open up fully. Grazing your fingertips on the floor. Over the head and opening up. Great job, Diana, of keeping that shoulder connected. You know, you might find that your shoulder in that full pet clock just has to, it just has to levitate a little bit. That's okay. That's definitely what one of my sides had to do yesterday. And just stopping wherever that range of motion is for you. You guys look really good. Very nice. Notice how the rest of your body moves, your hips. Maybe they rock forward and back. You'll notice them opening up and closing up. Good. Making sure, Valerie, that your head and your eyes are following that guy. So yeah, open up there. There you go. Beautiful. Bringing her on back. Good. And then go ahead and do one more. Finish the one you're on. We'll get into that side bend. So let's let the upper body rest for a second. And let's just practice. Let's differentiate for the side bend, the low body portion. And if you're still on pet clock, don't let my cueing ever speed you up, right? So just get comfortable in the upper body. Let's connect those thighs. And let's see if we can float that foot off the other foot, keeping them connected, and sense that hip hike coming up. And then as slowly as you can, release that foot back to the other foot. Floating the heel up. Feeling that hip hike. Maybe you feel your hip on the floor lengthening a little bit. Yeah, good. And then smoothing out any jumpy, jerky, shaky along the way. Good, good, good. And go ahead and do one more or finish the one you're on here. And then whenever you're ready, lengthen that bottom arm underneath your head. Match your other arm. And let's go ahead and practice the upper body side bend first. See what that feels like. Make sure you got that in your body. Bringing it up and over. Again, our brains already know what we're going to do. And that's okay. Making sure that your arm lines up with your hip when you're reaching out, compressing the rib cage in that side bend, compressing the waistline, coming all the way to resting at the bottom of that move. Remember that part and take a deep breath. That's usually the part a lot of people forget, is like, oh yeah, I need to take a deep breath in between each one. Ayana, I might try bringing my knees up just a little bit higher. That might help assist out a little bit. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. And then go ahead and try that out. And then when you're ready, no, doesn't work. There you go. And then when you're ready, float that top foot up as you do your side bend. I want to see what that looks like on you, Ayana. Noticing, Ayana, how you go back in that. Try to line your arm up. Try to line that side bend up with your hip. Yeah, so you're going straight to the side. There you go. Yeah, you're going into a green light reflex. Making sure your foot and your arm, if you're playing with both sides now, are staying in their own lane. Yeah, there you go. Bye, Ernest. Thank you for coming. Good. And let's go ahead and do one more of those or finish the one you're on. I'm going to have you come on. Yeah, very nice. And when you finish the one you're on, be sure to collapse into the floor right at the end. And when you're ready, after you've done your collapse, gently turn onto your back. Keep your knees bent. We're going to do one more arch and flatten before our final soma scan. Got a grimace over there from Matt. It'll be interesting to hear what happened over there. So coming onto the back, settling into the floor. I want you to do a big inhalation and a gentle arch of your back away from the floor, arching the belt line, bringing chin to chest. And then exhale smoothly and slowly floating out. Taking as many breaths really as you need. And then on an exhale, sink the belly button, sink the rib cage, press the spine. Make sure your knees are bent in the arch and flatten. It'll give your spine a little bit more space. Flattening, chin will come up, and then slowly and smoothly release on out. And then once you've completed that final arch and flatten, I like to end on a bilateral move. Straighten your legs for our final soma scan. Woo! And just to be responsible for time, it is 2 o'clock on the button right now. So if you have to get going, I understand. But if you have a moment for our final scan, go ahead and come on over. And then Robin, I think you might either be frozen. Yeah, you're frozen. Okay. Just wanted to make sure you're with us. Just getting a sense of how your body feels against the floor now, what your overall being feels like now. Any sensations present, any tension present, bringing awareness to those items. Very nice. And you can stay here as long as you like, but before getting up, just be sure to roll over to one side of your body or the other before helping yourself gently get up. I will stay on if anybody has anything they want to share. Just be sure to unmute yourself. Otherwise, you guys did a killer job. That was a really big exploration.
Thank you.
You got it, Nikki. Good work.
This was awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel amazing.
Yay, good, Claire. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
See you later. Thank you.
Bye, Claire. Later.
Thanks a lot. It was great.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yay.
Thanks, Kira.
You got it, Matt. How'd that feel for you?
It was all good. There's just the pain is still